God, thank you for your people, Lord. Thank you for a place to fellowship and assemble together, Lord. Thank you for trials and tribulations that make words like this matter. God, we thank you for making this good soil and good ground, Lord, so that the words that come out of my mouth aren't even about me. They're about you and your people and the growth of your people. God, I ask now that you would decrease me, Lord, and that whatever you have to say, Lord, silence me and speak loudly. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. That helped. Okay, I have to give you a part of me that I am truly uncomfortable giving. I'll say that. And that's the honest part of me. And that's about my life a little bit. I believe that my first ministry was really about me sharing the truth of my life. I am 25 years old, so it's not much of it. But a lot happened in those 25 years. I will say this. The Lord gave me the significance of this word tonight, or Bible study, and it is entitled A Broken Life But Perfect Peace. To give a brief synopsis of what my childhood was like, I'm not from here. I'm from Michigan. I'm not from Detroit, but it's easier to say than I am because no one knows my city. I grew up the youngest of four. When I was born, my mother and father were married. I think around the time that I was 6, they divorced. He moved, I think, 4 houses up the street from me, and we still attended the same church. When I was a girl, I think my mother at the time didn't know how to explain to me what was going on. So I just thought, of course, as every child thinks when something like that happens, it's about me. My father doesn't want me because of my issues or anything that pertained to me. I didn't understand the dynamic of my household. Looking back now, I kind of realized my dad didn't know how to be a dad because he didn't have a father. So who was going to teach him how to be a father to me? Being that I'm 25 now, I can look at him as a man and not just a father. When you're 6 and 9 and 13 and 16 and even 20, you look at your parents as parents. You forget that they were people before they were parents. So you expect certain things of them. And with that being said, you know, it's difficult to want people to live out expectations that you don't explain to them that you have on them.
Have mercy, God.
My mother on the other side, she was the opposite of what I've always wanted. She is a very type A person. She is the type of person that shows love through money and stability. She had to tell me and kind of explain to me that as a younger kid, when she had to make the choice to either step away from a difficult marriage or stay in it to quote unquote do it for the children, she decided to protect her children, and the best way she knew how to do that was to step away from the marriage. With that being said, she had to work. She had 4 children, so she had to work. And she told me recently, she said she had to choose to be a nurturer or a breadwinner. And she chose a breadwinner.
Have mercy.
I didn't know that. So at 13, when my body's changing and I'm not accepted and all I wear is long skirts and everybody else that's around me doesn't look anything like me or understand my background or my culture, when I haven't had a dad to tell me that I'm beautiful, so any ounce of acceptance I get from any kind of male, I take it and run with it. That's all I saw when she wasn't there the way I wanted her to be there. And with that being said, at 25, now I think I was 23 at the time she told me this, it just opened my eyes up to something different. It made me see her as a woman and not just my mother. It also made me acknowledge the broken parts of my life. So I asked the Lord, what was the point of that? What was the point of breaking me that way? What was the point of making me see my father every Sunday and him not acknowledging me? What was the point of my sisters not accepting me and being devastating about everything they said about me? What was the point of my mother not embracing me the way that I wanted? What was the point of my mother being upset at my other sisters, and because I was the only one in the house, she would yell at me for hours. And I would have to stay there and take it because I didn't have a car. So I had to stay there and listen to it. I asked the Lord, what was the point of that? Because at the age of 24, getting married, young, I was lost. I didn't understand. I didn't understand the dynamic between a woman and a man. I didn't understand my own dynamic. I didn't understand how I was supposed to live out my purpose when I felt like the pieces of my life were broken. How was I supposed to know what my life was? The pieces were broken. And I didn't have the manual. So the Lord led me to this. If you turn to Genesis 2:25. And I'm reading from the King James Version. And it says, they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. If you'll turn to Genesis 3, and I'll be reading 6 through 11. And it says, when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them were both opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord called unto Adam, and said unto him, where art thou? And the Lord God called unto Adam, and said to him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree? Thereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat. I think one of the most beautiful things about being a child is the purity of your heart, purity of your actions. Even when you don't do what you're supposed to do, there's purity in it, because if you have a contrite spirit when you are told that it's wrong, when you are brought to be recognizing that it was wrong. There's a part of you that's unashamed because it's untethered, it's unbroken, it's untouched. But as you experience life and you grow and you see that everybody else doesn't have the same purity of heart as you, and they don't treat you the same way that you desire them to treat you or the same way that you treat them, there's a certain level of rawness that we kind of guard ourselves with. So we start to put on layers to protect ourselves from people. Those are fig leaves to protect ourselves from the hurt and the pain that other people have experienced. So now they're protruding and throwing off on you because they don't know how to deal or handle with it. I didn't know that. And my issue is, and I'll be very real with you, I wanted somebody in my church to tell me that. I was there all the time. I put all my time there. I was told that my ministry was singing. I was told what the Lord had for me. No one told me to seek the Lord. So when things got difficult, do you really think I would rely on Mother such and such telling me, well, the Lord told me? Well, he didn't tell me, Mother. Like, I don't, you know? And my point is, we call ourselves, and I'm saying we because I feel as though because I've experienced enough, I should be at a point that I can give to somebody else that hasn't experienced what I've experienced yet or is currently experiencing what I'm experiencing. We cover ourselves to hide from what we don't want to face. And when you don't face it, when you don't choose to face it, it will face you. And it'll come up when you're not ready to face it. It'll come up when it's uncomfortable.
Help us.
Mine came up when I decided I wanted to get married. That's when everything came up. My daddy issues, the fact that I didn't actually know if I loved myself, the fact if I actually thought that I was beautiful enough or if I was sufficient. If I could write something across my body, it would be insufficient funds. Because that's how I viewed myself. That's what I cloaked myself with. That's how I covered myself. That's how I protected myself. Adam and Eve were in the same place. I wanted to point out that Eve took the tree because it was good for food. That's not a discrepancy. It was good for food. There was food on the tree. That's not what God wanted for her, though. Just because it's good doesn't mean it's good for you, or that it's the timing to have it. That's difficult for us to understand and accept and for real embrace it. Because it looks good, and we know that it'll fit. I saw a meme a while ago. It was an orange, and there was an empty slice. And someone had put a slice of an onion inside of it. And it fit, but it didn't match. That's where we are so many times. And it's not with our whole lives. It's not. But the things we don't want to deal with, we'll just put a slice of an onion in it. We put a filler there. We put finger leaves on to cover ourselves. But the issue is, people that have the same issues can see through you.
Yes.
They see that. They see the onion slice. And then, if you put ministry inside of that, because Adam and Eve's first ministries were to each other.
Yes, yes.
That was their first ministry.
Yes.
When they saw each other, somebody should have checked somebody. That don't fit. So now let's put it back in the church. You say that you're a leader and you're a servant leader, you're called by God, and you're in front of people in some portion of a way, and here you are an orange with an onion slice inside of you. Then you try to give yourself out to people through worship. You're poisoning the people.
Come on.